So I'm going to start this video with a bit of a confession, and that is that I was writing my full-time analysis of this match as it was ticking down into the final seconds. I was going to say that it was a game too far for a Liverpool side that's been decimated by injuries of late, and well, what do I know? Clearly Jurgen Klopp and his team, they just keep winning and winning and winning no matter what the circumstances, and they've done it again here against Nottingham Forest with a 99th minute winner from Darwin Nunez. Now, as I say, once again, as per usual, and I say this every week seemingly at the moment, a lot of things going against Liverpool. I mean, this was the fourth game in 11 days, and as I say, they were getting injuries on injuries recently. It's been so difficult, and I must say, in fact, amidst that 4 games in 11 days, one of those, of course, had extra time and was on that huge Wembley pitch. So, you know, to be honest, you wouldn't have been surprised if eventually Liverpool came unstuck, and it did look a lot like that was going to happen today throughout, you know, most of this 90 minutes here. I mean, they couldn't really complain if they'd have only come away with a point, I'd have to say. I think, you know, Forest looked the fresher side. They looked like they were doing well defensively. They were, you know, Liverpool was struggling to create, and Forest were finding it easy to manage a lot of Liverpool's threat. And in the meantime, Forest were also looking like quite a bit of a threat on the counter themselves. You know, they didn't make amazing chances, but they at times looked like they could cut through Liverpool, and that, you know, they only have to get that right once, don't they, to get the win. And, you know, Liverpool at times up against it, as I say, and struggling to create chances of their own. But, you know, it reminded me almost of last season's game at Nottingham Forest. Of course, you know, again, that was a game where Forest looked threatening on the counter. They looked threatening through long balls, and you know, Liverpool couldn't really cope with that, and then they go down to a 1-0 defeat. But the biggest difference really this time around was that Liverpool were so defensively solid and did everything they could to keep that clean sheet. You know, they managed Nottingham Forest threat as well as they could, much better certainly than last year. And then eventually, if you keep going and you've kept that clean sheet, then you give yourself a chance to pop up with a last minute winner, and that is exactly what Liverpool have done now. You know, as I was saying, you know, there's a chance it could have been a game too far, but the crucial aspect here is that, you know, Liverpool are starting to get players back now, and you know, one of those is Darwin Nunez, who of course comes up with the last minute winner. So, you know, the hope will be now that really Liverpool never have that game too far, that they start to get Nunez back. Szoboszlai also appeared in this game. Mohamed Salah isn't too far off. There's hope that Ryan Gravenberch will be back after the next game as well. So they're starting to get players back. So maybe, just maybe, they can get away without that game too far coming. And, you know, the form they've shown recently, despite all the injuries, is absolutely remarkable. And actually, he's got a trophy on board as well. So, been unbelievable the way they've coped with the difficulties they've been through, and you would hope now that Liverpool are slightly started to come through that and now can be even more dominant in games. They'll have the best players back. Maybe things will start to get slightly easier. I mean, I know football doesn't work like that, but that will certainly be the hope. And of course, you know, a huge game coming up next in not the Europa League game, obviously, I mean in the Premier League, and that's obviously Manchester City. So a massive game in the title race there, absolutely crucial. And Liverpool, you know, ahead of that one, they've put themselves 4 points clear, giving themselves a little gap. Now, City might eat that up. Arsenal as well will hope to close that gap. But, you know, all you can do is keep winning your games. And if you keep doing it in this way, you know, or occasionally winning this way, which, you know, Liverpool have been very good recently. So to win one late on, it gives you a huge confidence boost. It shows you can win games in many ways, and just a massive 3 points really for Liverpool in terms of keeping the title hopes on track. And yeah, just a remarkable show of character. I feel like I've used that phrase so many times this season, and this really is an unbelievable Liverpool team that we're watching, and another win in the most dramatic of circumstances on board. So let me know in the comments what you thought of the performance, but I'm going to go into the individual showings now and go player by player as I usually do, and I'll start, of course, with the goalkeeper. Now, Quiveen Kelleher, we know he's going to be in net for an extended period of time due to that Alisson injury, and I think he showed again today just how good a backup goalie he is. I mean, I call him a backup goalie. He's better than that, isn't he? I mean, there's a question mark over whether the big save he makes in this game, maybe that would have been offside, from Anthony Elanga when he goes through. But you never really can tell, even from the replays, until the lines come out. And because they didn't draw the lines, because it was a save, you know, we will never know if that was offside or not. And Quiveen Kelleher will never know. And it's an unbelievable save. Now he's fallen to the wrong side, thinking the shot's going to go there, but just gets a toe on the ball, sticks a toe out, and manages to make the save. I mean, I can't speak highly enough of Quiveen Kelleher and what he's been doing in the team since he's come in for Alisson. He's just been phenomenal, hasn't he? And today, as I say, we don't know whether that was offside or not. That could have been an absolutely crucial moment in this game, and he's pulled out so many of those recently. You know, you go into that City game, and obviously continue in the Europa League as well, but with every confidence that he can step up and do the job. Alisson is a big miss, no getting away from that, but Liverpool have got a pretty good backup there in Quaveen Kelleher, and he showed that again today. Now, I'll move into the defence now, start at right back with Conor Bradley, and I thought, even with Liverpool struggling at times in this game creatively, I still thought, Conor Bradley looked so solid in terms of, he actually would look to creative threat at times, but he stuck to his defensive task massively. I can't speak highly enough actually of the entire back four really in terms of what they've done in this game, in terms of, they didn't give away cheap chances. When Nottingham Forest had moments of threat, they shut that down really well. And as I say, it was a real contrast to what happened last season with Forest scoring and them being the ones who win 1-0. If you give yourself a clean sheet, or you keep a clean sheet, you give yourself a chance, and Liverpool's back four seemed absolutely determined to do that, and Bradley was a huge part of it. I mean, he wins 4 out of his 5 tackles, 9 out of 17 ground duels. 17 ground duels, to be involved in that shows you was just absolutely crazy busy in this game. Nottingham Forest trying to get in down the sides, trying to show that counter threat, so he's so busy there. And then 2 chances created as well, so you can't really ask much more from him than that. Again, another one who stepped up so impressively in the absence of an injured star, and I think again a really solid performance from him. I'll go to the other flank as well actually before I talk about the centre halves and Andy Robertson. And again, I feel like Robertson and Bradley kind of profile similarly in the way they play the game. They actually remind me of each other very much so, and I thought you saw a little bit of that again today. Robertson, I thought, did really well because he's coming back from illness. He wins 4 out of 6 duels, so really busy defensively. He also creates 4 chances, so as much as Liverpool weren't seemingly creating huge chances on the other side of the ball, going forward, particularly in the first half. Robertson was trying. He was trying to make things happen. He was putting in some dangerous crosses, and 4 chances created really shows that. And as I say, won 4 out of 6 duels, and to come back from illness and do that, really sort of hard working performance from him. Thought he was very good, and a really good effort from him. Now, I want to talk about the centre halves together. I do this sometimes, and again, the reason for that is because I thought both of them were absolutely outstanding. They were real rocks at the back. The reason that Nottingham Forest, couldn't get any joy in the moments where they did have little moments of threat. I thought both of these were just absolutely outstanding. I mean, I'll go through Van Dijk's numbers: 4 out of 5 duels, 5 defensive actions. Just great numbers. But Konate busier again, which you always expect. They never want to go near Van Dijk, do they? 7 out of 12 duels won, 9 defensive actions, and I thought his pace was absolutely massive as well. Nottingham Forest had real pace. Alanga, Callum Hudson-Odoi, they're really good players, and they've got real pace, and sometimes when they got in behind, you thought they'd get away. Konate always seemed to be there to snuff it out. And I think another thing that centre halves did really well is they saw a lot of the ball today. Forest trying to press, trying to make it difficult for Liverpool to play in midfield, but both of them used the ball really well. Konate 92% passing accuracy, and Virgil van Dijk a 94% passing accuracy. And Van Dijk also completes 6 out of 8 long balls, which is, just both of them give you so much more than just defending. There's so much threat in possession, and they try and switch the play. Konate seemed to walk into midfield quite a lot as well today to just try and provide that extra man, and as well as everything they did in terms of keeping a clean sheet. Just absolutely crucial, brilliant performances from both, and they're in fantastic form at the moment, and long may it continue really. Now, I'm going to move into midfield now, and I'll start with the holding midfielder. Bit of a surprise pick, you have to say, with Joe Gomez being in there, but and I think you saw, the reason he is a central defender at the end of the day, and it's, he's obviously used there because Endo wasn't fit enough to start, and they didn't want to take a risk there. So Joe Gomez has to do the job, and I think he does a decent job, to be honest. I mean, 1 out of 6 ground duels won, I think shows he's not really a defensive midfielder, and defending in those areas he maybe struggled with a little bit. But 4 out of 4 aerial duels won, he is always going to be good in that area, isn't he? He's a centre half by trade. Can play at right back. He was always going to be good in that. 2 chances created as well, which is decent numbers. Playing like a midfielder there, setting up shots, really like that. I think his weakness did show at times in terms of positionally. He did look a little bit lost, and he's playing a completely new position. I do not want to be critical of him there. The fact is, he's done an unbelievable job coming in for Liverpool in holding midfield in the last 2 games, and he's helped them to 2 wins, one a 3-0 win, one a 1-0 win, and this one very late. By doing a job for the team, being unselfish, putting himself in that position, and still putting up some not too bad numbers, even if that positioning at times. And I thought actually a lot of the turnovers that were created by pressing Joe Gomez seemed to happen from his teammates giving him really bad passes or giving him passes in really tight areas, expecting that he's like Alexis Mac Allister almost with his ability to keep the ball. Joe Gomez isn't that. He's a defender by trade, so they almost trusted him too much. But I thought, like I say, never ever be too critical of someone who comes in and does a job in that way, particularly when it ends in a win. He has contributed massively, and I think the manager will be all over him in terms of praising him for that. Brilliant job he's done for the team there. And actually, similarly, I thought the same of Bobby Clark. He's been thrown in the deep end a little bit, hasn't he, at the moment? He's a very, very young player, and one area where he's lacking a little bit is his physicality, which, again, he's a teenager. What else would you expect? And so that makes it really difficult for him, thrown in against a really physical Nottingham Forest side who just want to get about you and make it difficult. And yet he really stuck to his task. And like Gomez, a big part of Liverpool coming through with the win, he helps them massively. I mean, he contests 9 ground duels there, so he's busy. He's trying to force turnovers. I mean, he only wins 3 again. The physical deficit that he's got there really tells, but he's trying, he's working his socks off. 5 defensive actions, and he also gets 2 shots away, one that's not too far away. So I think Bobby Clark, it's so clear the quality he's got, I think, as a young player. I think the one area he's got to improve is his physicality, but again, he's a teenager, that will come. And I still think we saw flashes today that he's a really quality player, and he's played a role in Liverpool winning this game. And that is, you can't take it for granted that you can just pluck someone from your academy to do that, or in Joe Gomez's case, use a defender in the number 6 and keep winning Premier League games, especially on the road. It's remarkable what those two did today, and they deserve special praise, I would say. I thought they were absolutely, not the best performance they'll look back on in their career, but they absolutely did a job for their team today, and they deserve massive praise in that. Now, I'll finish off with the man finish off the midfield, with the man who I thought was man of the match, really, and that is Alexis Mac Allister. I thought he was just absolutely class on and off the ball today. He's got 2 midfielders around him there who have talked about, inexperience, and one player who's playing completely out of position, but he holds that midfield together. I thought Mac Allister dropped in alongside Gomez when it was needed, was the extra man in terms of threat from midfield going forward, just did absolutely everything. And I mean, obviously he lays on the winning goal with a beauty of a ball for Darwin Nunez, makes it so easy for him to just nod that one in, and that's one of 6 chances that he creates across the game, which, I just thought he was the main creative threat for Liverpool. In fact, 2 of those in the first half, one for Diaz, one for Gakpo, little dinks over the top, and both of those were big chances, really. Gakpo and Diaz should have done more with, and if Liverpool put those in, maybe they win this game slightly more comfortably. But he kept going, always creative, always the man you wanted on the ball, and then he dinks that one in for Nunez at the end, and I thought, phenomenal. I say his defensive work as well, 3 out of 8 ground duels, won his contesting ground duels, and I've said in the past, you may have seen on these videos, I preferred him in the past in that holding role that he started in, wanted him to see more of the ball, but I think Liverpool are getting more used to him in that advanced position, finding ways to get him on the ball, and he's been absolutely sensational since, and I was wrong about that. I think keeping him in that advanced role is for the best, because he's shown he's a creative powerhouse, and I thought he was phenomenal today. As I say, my man of the match, brilliant player, 35 million, that is ridiculous. Now moving to the front line now, and I start with Luis Diaz, who I thought was the best of the 3, really. Again, I think he generally has been recently. He works his socks off, 6 out of 11 duels, but he also gets 6 shots away, which is crazy, really. I mean, we talk about some of the shot numbers from the likes of Mo Salah or Darwin Nunez, how their ability to generate shots, and Darwin Nunez, Luis Diaz is not quite a lethal finisher as those, not as good really getting the goals, I think, or the goal numbers, but he gets shots. He was busy today, as I say, worked his socks off, and he, alongside Mac Allister, I thought looked the likeliest to sort of make something happen for Liverpool, and I think he's taken that status on a lot actually in the front 3 of late. He's been sort of the main man really up against Gakpo and Elliott. He is the closest to being one of Liverpool's frontline attackers, so that makes sense. But in those instances, sometimes you don't get players stepping up, and I think Diaz massively has, and he definitely did today. He was a big part of the threat, and that wears Nottingham Forest down, and it's for that reason you end up conceding 99th minutes goals, because you've been run ragged by people like Diaz. So great effort from him today. I'll talk next about Harvey Elliott on the other wing. I think the problem sometimes with Elliott, and we saw it in this game, is Liverpool needed a little bit of pace on the counter when Nottingham Forest occasionally overcommitted. And Elliott ended up playing, rather than a forward, almost like a midfielder a little bit more today, and so that kind of killed Liverpool's threat a little bit. But I still thought he played, he did some decent things. He gets 2 shots, he creates 1 chance, They're not phenomenal attacking numbers, but he's contributing in that way. And he wins 3 out of his 5 duels, which again, he's doing that midfielder job. Sometimes he's working back. He always works. And I mean, one thing I want to say about Harvey Elliott in terms of his work rate actually is, let's not forget what he's got through in these 4 games in 11 days. He's put in a mammoth effort, not least at Wembley, where I thought it was just ridiculous the amount of work he got through. He's been a massive part of Liverpool getting through this period, and I think he deserves massive praise for that. And one of the other statistics actually in there is 5 out of 5 long balls completed. Thought some of the biggest threat actually Liverpool showed at times was when Harvey Elliott produced those switches of play to Diaz, and that was a massive part of his game today. So not an amazing performance by any means, but I thought he worked hard, he kept at it, and he kept trying to make things happen. And I think, wow, his contribution over these last 11 days should not be forgotten by Liverpool fans. I think he's a young player who he's a kid really, isn't he? And he's going from strength to strength at the moment. He's a massive part of this Liverpool squad, and I think he's going to be a massive part of Liverpool's future, and absolutely has proven it over the last 11 days with the shifts he's put in and some of the quality of his performances. It's a real pleasure to watch him play in Liverpool. Very, very lucky to have him. Now, just finish off the starting 11 by talking about Gakpo, and I thought, to be honest, a really tough game for him. Again, I don't want to be too critical because he's another one who's being asked to step up in a difficult situation. There's a reason that Gakpo is probably your 5th choice out of these forwards, isn't he? But because he isn't as consistent as a Mo Salah, he isn't as consistent as a Diogo Jota, and he's not as much of a goal threat either. But he's starting, he's trying his best, he's working his hardest, and I think it just didn't come off for him today. I mean, he took 33 touches, which is the fewest of any Liverpool starter, which again showed you he struggled really to sort of get involved in the game, I thought, and he only wins 1 out of his 8 ground duels, which is not fantastic. Again, only gets 2 shots as well, so just really wasn't kind of the game for him. But I still think he's got a massive part to play. I think if he gets a little bit of a rest now and maybe starts a couple more games off the bench, he can still be a big impact player in games, and also he can start a few. I mean, Liverpool are probably going to need him in the Europa League going forward to keep rotating into that competition as well. And as I say, he's got decent goals and assist numbers this season, so do not want to be too critical, but it absolutely for me wasn't really Cody Gakpo's day today. I thought, and maybe his form's just dipping a little bit at the moment, but he's still absolutely crucial, and I'm sure there will be many better games to come from him. Now I just want to run through the substitutes quickly, and I'll talk about Endo. Great to have him back. I mean, clearly I don't think Joe Gomez will be starting in holding midfield if there was any chance that Endo could have started today. So it's good to see him back, and that he was at least fit enough to be on the bench, because he's going to be massive going forward. Still comes on the pitch, wins 3 out of 4 duels and 1 out of 2 tackles, and he's putting up Fabinho like numbers at the moment, and to get him back is absolutely massive. And I think those numbers there, big part in trying to push Forest back later in the game and winning tackles. And he absolutely, he's going to be on the team sheet in the Europa League possibly, but definitely against Manchester City, I think he's absolutely vital. So good to have him back. And another sub obviously to talk about is Darwin Nunez, and he just did very, very Darwin Nunez performance from him today. He takes 5 shots in 30 minutes. It's just his ability to generate shooting opportunities is just unrivaled in this Liverpool squad. I mean, there's not many players in Europe really who can generate that amount of shots in that amount of time. He's just relentless really in getting in positions, creates one chance, just a constant threat, and then the header to win the game is brilliant. Just he knows he only needs to get the little delicate touch. The keeper's got no chance. He's rooted. Just digs it with his head into the back of the net, and then brilliant celebrations. And I enjoyed that Jurgen Klopp said after the match that the song about Andy Carroll, that don't bother winding up Darwin Nunez because he'll make you pay in the end. When he gets annoyed and he hears stuff like that, he'll only just plays better, and he proved it today. He scores a winner in the 99th minute. So good to have him back. He's getting better and better, isn't he, every week? And I think this season if he has a strong finish, he'll be a big part of Liverpool winning trophies. So absolutely huge boost to have him back and get him scoring the winner. Now I just run through the 3 other substitutes. Thought Szoboszlai quite quiet when he came on. Really didn't have a lot of time to be hugely influential, but a couple of nice touches. Again, huge boost to have him back. I think if he's fit, maybe he's on the team sheet against Manchester City, and you would hope so. He's missed a bit of football, so can he get sharp enough for that? But we know he's a class act. He has been all season, so good to have him back. And Kostas Tsimikas, I thought, again, didn't get very long on the pitch, but he brought a bit of balance to the attack in terms of You know, you'd had Joe Gomez in at left back up to that point for a little while because Robertson had gone off, and I thought Tsimikas brought back that balance, that threat on the outside, and his delivery is decent as well. So that was really massively helpful to Liverpool. And Jayden Danns I want to talk about again. He only has 3 touches, completes 3 out of 3 passes, so not massively involved in the time he has on the pitch, but he just seems to get in areas and be a threat and be dangerous. You know, he causing a centre half to drag him over in the box. You know, I didn't think the ball was going near enough to give a penalty in that circumstance, but I think the opposition are worried about him because he's got that physical profile. He's a big threat. They know he can finish. They saw that in the last game. So I just think he can almost be between now and the end of the season. Maybe if Liverpool are really struggling in games and he's still in and about the first team squad, can he be that a little Origi type? Can he take on that role as a physical threat in the box and a finisher, a bit of a fox in the box? You know, I think we've seen evidence in the last week or so that he definitely can be that, because before he got the goals against Southampton, I said he sniffed out chances in the cup final against Chelsea. So there's a real chance for Danns to be involved in that role if Liverpool need a goal late in games. I mean, let's hope Liverpool don't need him too often because they're winning games comfortably. That would be nice. But you know, Jayden Danns, I think he's put himself with a shout of being that player, the new Origi maybe. So you know, shows you what an unbelievable meteoric rise he's been on recently. So another, you know, involved in another win in a huge 11 days, and he's been involved in all of it. And wow, just what it must be mind blowing for him, because he never thought he was anywhere near the first team prior to that. So yeah, remarkable. So that's my summary of the game and the performances. Let me know as usual in the comments what you thought. Who was your man of the match? How good are you feeling to finally have some players back? And you know, what are your thoughts on the week that's coming ahead? It's obviously Europa League action and then Manchester City in the Premier League. So another absolutely huge week coming up, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments what you thought of it all. So I'll sign off there by asking if you could like and subscribe. Always helpful. Having a great week on the channel actually at the moment, a great time on the channel, and I really appreciate everyone who engages, you know, whether that be comments, likes, and people who have come on board to subscribe. I hugely appreciate the growth I'm seeing on the channel and that you guys enjoy all this. I'm absolutely loving doing it, so thanks very much. And as I say, so much more to come in the week ahead. It's a really busy time for Liverpool, so I will see you very soon.